Hello and welcome. This is Syed Khalid Shabazz and you're watching Gawah News. Nawab Raunaq Yaar Khan, whom a faction of Sahibzadagaan declared as the ninth Nizam recently, talks to Gawah News about the controversy around the Nizam title, the problems of the Nizam family's descendants and the actions to be taken for their welfare. During an exclusive interview, he was pledged to work for the welfare of the families of the descendants of the Nizam to improve their educational and financial status and much more. Here's the video.
People think there's something against Azmat Jah or whatever. I have nothing against him. It's not about him at all. I'm not even thinking about Prince Azmat at all. I'm just thinking about 4,200 people who are in a bad shape. Before that, I knew there's something like the royal family not doing well. And it's shocking the way they are living. It's like they're all types. They're nice people, they're bad people, everything. But they really, really need help. So and if I'm helping 4,000 people, I won't care about one person, and for him, for the other person, it's a matter of whether he's using a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes. For these people, it's a matter of whether they get the next meal. If the Sahibzadagans are being cheated by the royal family, then I'll definitely go against the royal family. I mean, royal family meaning Prince Mukarramjah's family. And if I feel like it's the common money of the family, they are like, kind of manipulating or doing anything or selling or controlling or whatever, I'll see that everybody gets an equal share or at least a legitimate share according to Sharia.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जनाब नवाब रौनक यार खान साहब. So my first question to you is Prince Azmat Jah को ninth head of the Asif dynasty बनाया गया था immediately after the passing away of Prince Mukarram Jah. Then एक certain days के बाद जो है certain faction of the community they made you as the head of the Asif dynasty. So इसके बारे में आपका क्या कहना है? And particularly asking because is this creating a rift in the Asif dynasty?
See, if you call it a rift, you can call it a rift, but they feel, since the people who elected me or selected me, they are from the Nizam 1 to 6. They are called Majlis Sahibzadagaan, which is a trust created by the 7th Nizam himself. And this they have a society now connected with that trust. So that constitutes people from 1 to 7 Nizam. So imagine the number of people there are about 4,200. They're all royals. So they constitute the majority. By far the majority. और जो 7 Nizam है उनका ट्रस्ट अलग है और उनका अलग एक अलग सेगमेंट कैसा होगा आपका ट्रस्ट अलग करने से और वो लोग भी जो accumulated into one group, the Masjid Sahibzadagaan, as a majority. So as a majority, since I am the grandson of Mahbub Ali Khan, they selected me as their head. And they feel they went one step ahead. They feel that since we are the majority and there's no monarch anymore who can decide who should be the next king. And since that whole thing has been abolished, that whole system of monarchy and of the rule and all that, dynasties, has been abolished by the Indian government, I think in something like 1972 itself. So now Sharia prevails. I mean, everybody is like on an equal footing. So they feel that they have a right to choose because now it's India, like the dynasty is gone, it's a democracy now. And since the monarchy is gone, the family itself is a democracy now. So they have decided to choose me as their head. And since they're a majority, by far, they feel that I'm the head of their whole family, whole dynasty. Whereas they feel that Azmat Jah, Prince Azmat Jah, he can be the head of his family. I mean, they don't have an objection to that. He's the heir to his personal properties of his father. Nobody can object to that. But somewhere along the line, even they feel that whatever he got from his father, even if it's something like purchased, if it's hereditary, they feel they have a share in it. Because without the dynasty, now it's all Sharia. It's like in India, Sharia applies to all Muslims. They even feel that whatever has been bought and given to Azmat Jah, they have a share in it because Mukarram Jah had no way of making any money. I mean, he had no income. He never worked or anything. So they feel it's family money going to all that. So anyway, I feel that's a little bit unfair. But if they have a point there, and it's like whatever, they have a lot of court judgments to back them up. So I'm now trying to go through the judgments with other people apart from who are from the family, because the family people might be biased in one side or the other, and the people from Mukarram Jah's and Azmat Jah's, Prince Azmat Jah's family, they might be biased towards his advantage. So basically, I need some real experts who are not emotional, who are not from my side or any side, who can make an independent assessment of all these things And if they can get some money out of some of the litigations and the palaces and all that, they'll go a long way in helping most of the, requirements of the family, solving most of their problems like medical to education, all that, even education, if you want to set up a school, you need money. So one main, and all the other problems are somewhat emotional. But this one financial problem, takes care of a hell of a lot of problems, hell of a lot of their requirements. So I think the first thing I have to do is deal with the litigations and see what I can get for them from the properties which are available, which are not personal of the king, or king meaning like Usman Ali Khan coming down to Prince Mukarramja. So that has to be defined, and we have to like really sort out the legal points and segregate them and put some experts and make a committee or something of experts to define what is the next best step to go ahead. So I'm thinking while I'm talking, so I'm just because like I'm kind of new on this. I've not had any plans of becoming the Nizam. In fact, after Prince Mukarramja's death, I went and met Prince Azmat to tell him to come here and be the head, and but I feel like he's any person who's born abroad, he's like actually he has a name like Azmat, but if you're born abroad and your mind doesn't it works like a person who's American or wherever you're born, or British or whatever. So you're not like an Indian, because where you're born makes a lot of difference, and he had a choice of being here. I mean, nothing is stopping him from being in Hyderabad. And if you had a tradition of your father being very well known, and you could get some recognition through your father, you would have been hanging around here. So he doesn't want that. I mean, he's not bothered about that, in fact. And he's an independent person. Otherwise, he would have been in Hyderabad, or he would have been in Turkey, where his maternal side is from. He didn't bother. He didn't want to be on either of the places. He's in an independent place, so he's an independent man. So I don't know how much he'll be inclined to be, get entangled in all these things going on. In fact, he already said he doesn't want to be the head of all the trusts. So that means he doesn't want to get too tangled straight away. So these people want someone who will understand everything and sort some of their problems, which I'm ready to do because I was already doing it without even having any idea of Prince Mukarramja passing away or anything like that. In fact, those people wanted to see if I could be some kind of a executive authority or something on the trust, either replacing Prince Mukarramja in certain executive powers at least, if not in the title, and look after some of the things, because he had become very old and he couldn't recognize people and he was not in a mental state to decide on things. So they thought it'll get very complicated once he passes away, and they wanted someone to be able to sign and get into the right situation. And some of those people didn't trust the people he was dependent on in Hyderabad. They felt they're like all self-serving, and somehow they have that impression that I am not bothered about money so much, and I'm not selfish or greedy or anything like that. And I think being single, they also feel safe that I won't be trying to save something for my children or something like that and divert funds elsewhere. So basically, once they become close to me, I'll be thinking about them, because I have no one else to think about. So I think they feel confident, and within themselves also, they are not comfortable with their factions, probably not comfortable with each other. So they feel like having me as a head, I'll probably unite all the other factions, like maybe they're just 2 and 3. But funnily, the people who are backing me are 4,200. There's another organization which is running by the same name, which is illegitimate illegal because they're operating on the same name. And there's some other organization which was formed in 2004, they said, but that has been struck down by a government order itself. So those guys are making a noise. I think maybe they're hoping to maybe make something by joining someone, charging someone for doing the honor of joining the bigger side. And I don't think there are more than 18 people in that. I mean, 18 is their own claim. So if there are 18 people claimed by them, I can't imagine them being more than 8 also. But they want to show some importance, maybe, and they're all in touch with me. The best part is every one of them is in touch with me. They all want to make some kind of a deal, but I don't want to do that, because once you do that, then that will become the biggest income for them. Every 5 days they'll probably tell their son-in-law to catch hold of 5 different guys, go in front of the press and make a noise, so I shell out something. So I can't encourage that kind of a thing. So right now things are going well, and people think there's something against Azmat Jah or whatever. I have nothing against him. In fact, he's one of the few people I've liked on just so few meetings. Like I've met him 3-4 times, but he seems like such a nice person that you can't help noticing he's a nice person. It's just the first meeting itself. So I have nothing against him. It's not about him at all. I'm not even thinking about Prince Azmat at all. I'm just thinking about 4,200 people who are in a bad shape, who I've been introduced to now in the last 20 days or maybe 30 days. Before that, I knew there's something like the royal family not doing well, but I didn't know not doing well meant, below poverty line. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are doing well. And it's shocking the way they are living. And, 4,500, 4,200 at least. It's like they're all types. They're nice people, they're bad people, everything. But they really, really need help.
So
and if I'm helping 4,000 people, I won't care about one person, and for the other person, it's a matter of whether he's using a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes. For these people, it's a matter of whether they get the next meal. It's almost that bad.
So how do you plan to help these people, 4,200 people that you mentioned, or how do you plan to fulfill this responsibility that these people are entrusting you with?
See, like I told you, I'm not an expert. I'm not a lawyer, and I've never been bothered about this because I was so comfortable. Like people have a ration card. I wouldn't have a ration card. I wouldn't be bothered even if it's convenient to make it because I don't need that. My mind wouldn't even go there. So I never really knew the deeper problems of these people. I just knew some of them superficially. But now in the last, I told you when I met Prince Azmat, that was even after the passing away of Nizam VIII. So that was just like about a month ago. So in a month back, I didn't even know that I'm going to suddenly get into this situation of having to solve things. So I don't know those things in a deeper way. So now they're bringing papers and all that, and I'm not a lawyer. I cannot understand things immediately. So it will take me time to absorb all those information, and then I'll put it down to give it to better experts, for people who are professional in their field, not emotional people, and they'll sort it out. And wherever we see there is a possibility where if the Sahibzadagans are being cheated by the royal family, then I'll definitely go against the royal family. I mean, royal family meaning Prince Mukarramjan's family. And if I feel like it's the common money of the family, they are kind of manipulating or doing anything or selling or controlling or whatever, I'll see that everybody gets an equal share or at least a legitimate share according to Sharia. So I have nothing against them. I'm not thinking about anyone except those 4,000 people. And in the face of 4,000 people, I have to be like some kind of a weirdo if I have to think about one person's, being comfortable or being in the good books of one person. In the face of helping 4,200 people on the other side. So I'm not that selfish. I'm not that self-centered. I would like to help people, which I was, like I said, I was already doing. I always had this inclusivity thing where I had parties, to get different communities closer. So I used to pick on parties which are from other religions just to show our, the brotherhood which existed in the name of Mahbub Ali Khan. Because during Mahbub Ali Khan's time, he was even known to pray in Hindu temples in certain situations like that 1908 floods. He did the yagna with Vishvesharaya, Sir Vishvesharaya, who made Nizam Sagar and Gandipet and all that. He was an engineer, and he said the Mahbub Ali Khan did a yagna where the water started abating, the flood water started abating. So I'm not superstitious, but that's his version. So I feel like the Nizam, His Highness Mahbub Ali Khan, he always had all these people together, the Hindus and Muslims. There were no clashes, community clashes. In fact, the Hindus, Sarojini Naidu wrote in her personal letters that the Hindus thought he was a saint. Not Hindus, people from all communities. In fact, that makes Hindus the majority of people thinking he's a saint because Muslims were just, I think, 12-15%. And in Muslims, Sunnis don't go and supplicate in front of, in front of dargahs. So that leaves only the Shias out, and in Shias, maybe half of them probably had faith in Mahbub Ali Khan, and half of them didn't. So that makes it just 5% of Muslims. But Hindus being 80%, even if 20% of that 80% decides to have Mahbub Ali Khan as their patron saint or something, because she clearly says that people used to go to his grave even after he died. So even if 20% were there, the majority people who prayed to him or supplicated to him and asking for favors at his grave and all, like chadar chada ke you make mannat. There were more Hindus than Muslims. So I want that not because of my grandfather, because of this prevailing time. With all this turmoil, I want people to know there was such a happy time where nobody even cared about religion. They had such a closeness that, a person from another religion was even prayed to or worship, literally worship as a saint. And if you go to this book about memoirs of, some railway engineer, Cyril Jones, he wrote a book. He was a railway engineer and he had a log book, and he was laying railway tracks from Hyderabad to, I think, Wadi or somewhere near Maharashtra, because Maharashtra was also part of Hyderabad then. And he had a diary. So he wrote down different situations people he encountered. So in somewhere he wrote that people had superficial fight and they coincidentally happened to be Muslim or Hindu, maybe his group, but they didn't have a problem with Muslims at all as a governance. Like Muslim governance was not a problem for the Hindu people, because the Hindu people even had domes. I mean, use the word domes, and I have to get that clarity, because tomb means a body has to be there. A dome means just a geometrical shape. But he clearly meant that people supplicated to those tombs. Like maybe they had an idol of Mahbub Ali Khan there and they went and prayed to him. So I was supposed to go there and investigate, but because of the COVID, I couldn't go. And I'm doing this whole exercise mainly just to let people of Hyderabad know, okay, the closeness we had, the bond we had, and why would they lose such a thing? And there's a book called Days of Beloved, and the people who published it are Orion Longswan. The people, like, they're also from one party. So they told me that they would allow me to add one more page and republish the book with this new thing about, the Nizam being considered as a deity in Maharashtra. So I do things like that for them. And I didn't do it to become like the Nizam or anything like that. I did it just because I thought the right thing to do. So there are many things I did. Like I took, some 42 kids to Falaknuma, and I had artists gifting me paintings, and I auctioned them that day. I got about 11 lakhs. I gave it to them. Then I was like, advisor for Delhi police. So I did a lot of things anyway, and that time there was no Facebook. So, I didn't even know how to take a photograph, or I was not bothered, and I was photo shy. So if you see, before that, you won't even find any photos of mine. Not more than 3 from the time I was born till I got onto Facebook 10 years ago. You won't find any photographs. Now I'm like, I've doubled that. And if you see people you see a lot of, people like recently there was a polo match, and that was an all-women polo team which had come. So if you see me with people from other countries and all that, it's basically to, like the Nizam was like a cultural ambassador. So I want to take up that role. And the cultural ambassador means inclusivity, like welcoming people from abroad, showing them our culture, getting them to understand us better. So that whole thing, I've got in fact a PhD from a German university for that. And then I, combine like different cultures. Like I told you, I have been organizing Holi for the past 45, 50 years. And I do it without any break. And I've been doing it, except for COVID. Now we've kind of, gone a little slow on it. And many of those things, I use that for some kind of a platform. Last time 2 years back, I had Holi, was at Park, was at Hyatt Gachibowli.
So speaking of, you mentioned rich people and public life. So you yourself have led a very affluent and public life, and you've been on Facebook. And you've also mentioned that you do not have a wife or son. So you'll dedicate your time and resources to the welfare of the public. Is this also, the recent controversy, can this be attributed to your wealth or vested interests eyeing your wealth?
I never saw that, because I think in the last 1 or 2 months, people started talking about that, I have some, I'm wealthy or whatever. People have known traditionally I have a lot of land. Majlis Sahibzadagaan, they are like children of Usman Ali Khan, who was like probably half a dozen times richer than Bill Gates. People would expect them to be rich, but they're not. They have their own problems. They're like in a very bad shape. So everybody has their own complications. So I have a lot of land, but they need to be sorted out. So people are now getting aware, and some people have a misconcept that I'm very loaded in terms of cash. I'm not. I have a lot of land. But whatever I can, I'll try to salvage the properties of the Nizam itself and see that they get get to be divided properly. If it's legitimate, I'll do it. And I'll make sure things are, more legitimate than what is going on now. Because what I heard is that certain things are being misrepresented, and certain things are being sold unilaterally rather than sharing the money with the remaining families. So let's see what happens about that.
So before you wind up,
right.
So people only know you as a man of glamour who enjoys his life, visits parties, and spends his time partying. Yeah. So is that all, or is there something more that needs to be public?
See, superficially, if you see superficially, all those pictures I put up on Facebook, they have a caption. What happens is people isolate those pictures. They take a screen cap and send it to someone, and it just looks like some person standing with some glamorous people. But actually, if you see the captions, if you really have patience to see the captions, you realize at least 60% of those events are for some kind of charity or other. We're collecting money for charity. Even that event I had in Falaknuma, where I donated 11 lakhs. So it looks like, like a glamorous thing because happening in Falaknuma, but actually it is a collection. It's a collection of a lot of glamorous people who paid the money, 11 lakhs, which went to the kids. Same way, a lot of these fashion shows also, they collect money. They collect money and we call people who are celebrities out here and who pay. And sometimes, if you get models, you have to pay them. Some of these celebrities are rich people. So just for the enjoyment or something, they pay something like 5,000-10,000 to get onto the ramp. It's like the donation they're making to poor people on the education program or something like that. So most of those pictures, if you really look, are all charitable events. And Holi and all that, I told you already, it is like to bond people. So, so if you see a lot of glamorous people and all that, and then, you pick up pictures from the newspapers. What happens in newspapers is they themselves pick up only glamorous things. Suppose I'm standing with 10 guys who are looking dull, typically Indian, wearing something normal like a dhoti or something, they won't be bothered. If they see some girls or glamorous, or, from different countries and all that, that makes it more interesting. So the newspapers highlight that. And for me also, that's more unique, so I'm like a single man and I'm like, supposed to be replacing a Nizam, not the Pope or not some religious head. So I had my fun because the Nizam anyway was known to have fun, and my fun is like very clean. It's not like, getting married illegitimately or having illegitimate children or something like that. It's only a thing and I'm just having fun with people, and it's also mostly, like I told you, it's for a cause. And on the other hand, people, what they don't know, which I also don't allow them to know, is that I run a mosque. I mean, like I'm the mutawalli of a mosque, which was like I was made a mutawalli when I was 7 years old. And I take it up as a responsibility. I don't even go to the mosque to pray because I don't want people to kind of show any adulation that I'm, caretaker of a mosque, because I don't allow donation. Absolutely, there are no donations. If somebody, sometimes sneakily they come and, give some janimazes and all that. I don't want, like a mosque of mine, I pay for the electricity, I pay salaries to the imam and the muezzin. I don't want to have someone paying 500 rupees as some kind of a donation and then come in asking me what I did with it. So I don't allow them to even know that I'm the head of the mosque. And I think I told you that story where my mother gave away, because I'm not getting married, she got angry and gave away all the jewelry which was given to my sister, which was meant for my share. What was my share, she gave it away. She sold it and gave it to a mosque. Then I told her, okay, what mosque did you give? She said, I don't know the name. I said, how can you give it? I'm running a mosque. I need the money. Why would you give it to some other mosque? So I said, where is the mosque? So she said, I thought she didn't remember the name. Then I asked her, what do you know about the mosque? She said, it's a place called Borbanda. So then I realized she doesn't even know where Borbanda is. So then I said, why did you do this? Why did you give it? She said, but that is charity. She said, if you give it in your mosque, you get some response. You get respect from people because you've been the donor. Because they know you donated. If they find out, they'll, salam you or whatever. They'll show you respect. They try to get pali because you've been a major donor. So you're getting, in some indirect way, you're earning out of that, what you're calling a donation, you're earning respect out of it. Once you get respect, it's a deal. It's a transaction. So you don't do that. You give it to someone where they do not know who's the donor. And you give it to people who do not know are the nonies. So you can't act cocky that you donated some money to somebody. And they can't start bowing in front of you because you're the donor. So that is real charity. So from that I learned, I can't get into her shoes. She's exceptional. But I look after my mosque and I pay all those people. And I purposely have 2 Hindu people looking after the structural side of the mosque. Again, to show, that mosque is landlocked. Beyond us is a railway line. So people who live in the colony, they can go there. Nobody passes us through, nobody passes our colony to go to some other place. So people who live in the colony only come there. So I want that kind of, brotherhood in that community. So I've kept 2 Hindu people who look after the financial side of the mosque and one who looks after the structural. Both of them are Hindu. So if the Muslims want to consult about some leakage or whatever, they all sit together and talk it out. So they all feel that they're together in that community, in that colony. So I do things like that, which are not talked about. And a lot of people, some of my closer friends know about it. They find it very amusing also that I look after the mosque. And I don't mention it to outsiders at all. I don't even mention it to the people who come to the mosque, the musallis who are who come and pray there. I don't let them know because I don't want to show off on that. So there may some other things also I do which I don't want to talk about. So because charity is very personal to me, religious is personal to me. The rest of it you can talk about anytime.
After the demise of Prince Mukarram Jah Bahadur in January 2023, his son Prince Azmat Jah Bahadur was ceremonially anointed as his successor and the 9th head of the Asif Jahi family. But his anointment was met with friction by a faction of Sahibzadagaan who believe Nawab Raunaq Yaar Khan, who is based in Hyderabad, can understand their problems better and hence must be the 9th Nizam. Meanwhile, Nawab Raunaq Yaar Khan says he never wished for any such title until the Sahibzadagans approached him and apprised him of their conditions of penury.
So, one of the things you were asking me, how did I get involved in this situation of being the head of this Hasijai dynasty? I was approached by the Sahibzadagaan, and they kind of made it very clear to me that they don't have anyone who's interested in this, including the Prince Azmat Jah, that he lives in some other country, he's in his own world, and anybody who doesn't even live here would hardly be able to understand our problems, and he doesn't want to get too tangled. And if he was the type who would get tangled, he would be living in India, not in some other country. And even if we force him to come here, which we have tried, and he's just got indifferent after even agreeing, he just went indifferent. And it's very logical that even if he agrees, he can't do much about it because we need someone here. And they said they trust me, and within their community, they don't have anyone they trust so much who they feel will not take advantage of them or their funds or anything like that, because all the other people they require something, and they can't be totally trusted because there's a lot of temptation, and they feel because I'm on my own and I don't have any kind of interest to divert any of their funds because I have my own and I'm enough more than sufficient for myself. They feel they wanted to place their trust in me and nobody else. So they've been after me for quite some time, and I never realized that when they said there's nobody interested, it didn't really strike me that I'll have any kind of opposition out here. So I thought, once I become, because they are the major body and they have the powers, and they showed me some kind of legislation where they have a right to choose, because because of the democracy of majority, as well as India being democratic, as well as there's no monarchy or anything from 1972. I thought they had a right to choose, and I just thought they were choosing me. It's not like I never anticipated some kind of a resistance from anywhere. And I think even now the resistance is not so much from the right place where it should come from. It's coming from people who are benefiting from the previous order, and they don't want any changes because I think they had their own, advantages worked out. So I'm supposed to be, I think I'm becoming a spanner in some works. So that's what I feel. And another thing is, when I even worked earlier, these people know when I worked in Delhi for 9 years for the Delhi Traffic Police, that whole thing was, I was not working for them on a salary or anything. I just was using my own money for the betterment of whatever, for the youth then, because it started with me noticing that a lot of kids die skidding on motorcycles. Because car skid, but you don't die because of a car skidding. Car might hit somebody else and that person might die. But the bike guys, they were like skidding and coming under buses and hitting, curbs and all that and dying. So I did it with my own funds. And I made no money. In fact, like, people thought I'd gone mad because to leave my city in Hyderabad and go and work for something in Delhi. So I used to lie to them that I'm getting money out of it because they already thought I'm stupid and crazy. And I couldn't afford to tell them that I'm doing it for free, because then they think I'm even crazier, because you don't use your own pocket money for some other city, which is not even yours. So that's my nature. So I think that time a lot of people spread the word and they giggle and saying, tell other people that I've got, I lost my mind and stuff like that. And even here with conserving nature and all that, all my properties, I never really tried to develop them because they were like, I saw them like green belts or green zones. So I was never very enthusiastic of a deal working. If it didn't work, also I was very happy. So going by my nature, they felt I'm just the right choice for them, because I seemed very selfless to them. But I suppose I'm selfless because I never got, into an opportunity where, other than, requiring to be selfless. So now I'm being tested on a new ground. Let's see how I fare. And so I know myself better under these circumstances and tensions and all that. So I'd like to end with that.
And with that, we wrap up today's bulletin. Stay tuned for more.